Omnibus Motion and Compliance dated September 9, 2024, filed by Attorney Harry Roque. And I wish to remind the Quadcom that this motion originated from our hearing on August 22, 2024, where in the various questions we propounded, Attorney Harry Roque expressed his commitment to produce the documents. To explain, Mr. Chair, this omnibus motion and compliance is made up of two parts. The first part is the motion to quash, that is from paragraph 1 to 33, and the second part is the compliance to the show cause order, which is reflected in page 34 to 43. This representation wished to make a manifestation with respect to the motion to quash filed by the Attorney Harry Roque. In support of the above motion, Mr. Chair, he raised the same arguments which have been deliberated upon already during the last hearing. And to satisfy the requirement of due process, Mr. Chair, let me reiterate our answers to the arguments which he raised. First, that the hearing is not in aid of legislation. In answer to that, let me explain, Mr. Chair, this Quadcom was created to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation pertaining to four issues which are haunting us. One is dangerous drugs. Two is extrajudicial killing. Three is the en masse acquisition of land. And four is the POGO operation. In other words, Mr. Chair, we are indeed in exercise of our power to conduct inquiry in aid of legislation which is granted by no less than the Philippine Constitution, Mr. Chair. Second, Attorney Harry Roque argued that the documents requested are not germane to the inquiry in aid of legislation. Again, in the case of Arnold versus Nazareno, there are two requirements. One is materiality to the subject matter, and second is materiality to the possible legislation. With respect to the first requirement, Mr. Chair, it is the humble submission of this representation that the Quad Committee has established an overwhelming circumstantial evidence showing the connection of Attorney Harry Roque to Lucky South Corporation, which is a POGO operator where we apprehended Chinese nationals victims of human trafficking, murder, and internet scam. Mr. Chair, at the height of the interpellation, we ask about the Biancham Corporation, which owns the property in Tuba, Benguet, where the IT employee of this Lucky South was apprehended. And that is where we started investigating Biancham. And then it was followed by our investigation on the subsidiary companies. As we investigate on Biancham, Mr. Chair, we found out the sudden increase of his assets in 2018, coming from 125,000 before 2016. In 2018, the current assets of Biancham rose to 125 million. At the height of the interpellation, Mr. Chair, Attorney Harry Roque articulated that his money did not come from POGO operation. To emphasize, Mr. Chair, that statement did not come from Quadcom, did not come from this representation. Instead, it came from the mouth of Attorney Harry Roque. This is an admission, therefore, Mr. Chair, that he admits the connection of these documents which we are requiring from him from the investigation on POGO operation that we are conducting right now. To further explain, Mr. Chair, it was admitted that he was the presidential spokesperson during that time with a very limited income. And then we asked him, where did this 65 million came from? Where did this money came from? And he could not explain except that he sold a certain property in multinational company in Parañaque. To conclude, Mr. Chair, there is a question about the source of the money of Piancham Corporation, which belongs to Attorney Harry Roque. And following his question, if he will not be able to prove the legal and valid source of this sudden increase of assets of Piancham, then there is a reasonable ground to believe that indeed he is connected with Pogo operation and this money possibly came from the Pogo operation. The second element, Mr. Chair, is the materiality to the possible legislation. And during the last hearing, Mr. Chair, we reiterated ano po ba ang mga batas na posibleng aamyendahan, muling pag-aaralan in connection to this Quadcom hearing. And we cited RA 3019. This is the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act na baka sakali na ang ating mga government officials ay nakurap because of this Pogo operation. We also have Code of Professional Responsibility of Government Officials that we need to revisit already the provisions of this law to make sure that the government officials and employees do not deviate from what is being mandated by the Code of Professional Responsibility of Government Officials. We also have anti-money laundering. Kulang po ba ang probisyon ng anti-money laundering? At nagkaroon ng mga transfer ng huge amount of money in spite of the existence of this law. We also have corporation law. Bakit po ba nagagamit na shield ang mga corporation in perpetrating illegal activities? We can also consider, Mr. Chair, the Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability for lawyers. Ito po ba'y saklaw pa if the lawyer is already protecting illegal activities of their client? In addition to this, Mr. Chair, we have established already the need to revisit the laws such as the PSA Charter dahil naabuso po ang ating batas patungkol sa late registration, our immigration law on visa issuance, the PAGCOR Charter on licensing of POGO, and the cybercrime law or RA 10175.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congressman Flores.
Mr. Chair, as extensively discussed by Congressman Luis Ro, stating the grounds why we are in the right as far as our request for him to submit these documents and his continued refusal to submit these documents to this Quad Committee, Mr. Chair. I move, Mr. Chair, that we hold Harry Roque in contempt, Attorney Harry Roque in contempt for refusing to submit the documents subject of the subpoena de Sustecom and of which he has manifested that he was going to submit to this committee, Mr. Chair. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion to cite Attorney Harry Roque in contempt, and this was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Now, just for clarification, we are citing Attorney Harry Roque in violation of Section 11,
D.
Paragraph D.
Paragraph D, Mr. Chair, for refusing to comply with the subpoena to Sustecom and to submit the documents we requested of him, Mr. Chair. Now, Mr. Chair, in addition, Mr. Chair, I move that we hold Harry Roque in detention for the period of until he submits the documents or until the Quad Committee is dissolved, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion to detain Attorney Harry Roque as long as this committee conducts its hearing,
Mr. Chair,
and until we terminate,
or until he submits the
or
documents
until he
that we
submits
have
the
asked.
documents required of him.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And this was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.